This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, the southern dairy farmer who rose to fame when he did a charity run in gumboots last year has another goal. An Invercargill cycling enthusiast hopes to revive an old track for a new generation of bikers. And a group of southerners are helping people with visual impairments to get out and about to experience nature. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Sophie Morris. It's a long way from Mount Everest, but Harjinder Singh Chanda is planning to use Dunedin's Baldwin Street to reach some dizzying heights this weekend in support of mental health. The 30-year-old Henley dairy farmer plans to run up and down Baldwin Street to the length of a marathon.
Every year, Tairi Plains dairy farmer Harjinder Singh Chanda does a run in gumboots as a charity fundraiser. This weekend, he hopes to emulate Sir Edmund Hillary and knock the bastard off.
So I'm running the steepest straight up and down. So minimum my target is a marathon, that will be around 62 times. And going for the maximum, that will be averaged 135 up and downs.
As he said, a conventional marathon at 42.195 kilometres is his base target, which would have him running up and down the world's steepest street 62 times. He's done impressive runs like this before, including around 12 hours running all over Mount Cargill, with an interesting choice of food.
I run the Mount Cargill for 12 hours eating naan and curry.
Harjinder Singh Chanda hopes to run up and down Baldwin Street 135 times to raise awareness and funds for Mental Health New Zealand. He's due to start at 5:30 a.m. this Saturday, and if he goes for the full Everest challenge, hopes to be finished around 30 hours later. Singh Chanda says he knows when the marathon effort will be at the toughest.
I think it will be from midnight to the morning when no one's around. Yeah, hopefully someone will come and get me through it. Yeah.
He says mental health, particularly amongst farmers, is a serious issue in New Zealand. Figures on the Mental Health Foundation's website show 685 people in New Zealand took their own lives between July 2018 and June 2019. If you or someone you know needs to talk, texting the government's 1737 number is a good start. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Black plastic rubbish bags are on the way out, with up to 3 new bins to come to Dunedin homes in 2 years' time. The current curbside collection contract sees a collection of general waste and black plastic rubbish bags, plus 2 recycling bins. During deliberations on the 10-year plan yesterday, councillors decided to supply 4 bins to each household. The system will retain both the current yellow-lidded mixed recycling wheelie bin plus the 45-litre blue tub for glass. A medium-sized red-lidded wheelie bin will replace the current black plastic bags, and a smaller bin will take away food scraps. Homes can also get an optional extra bin for garden waste at an additional cost. An Invercargill SIT student has launched a petition to restore an overgrown and unused BMX track in northern Invercargill back to how it was in the 1980s. Megan Dawson says local school children would benefit from the park as there currently are none in the area.
This neglected BMX track at Myers Reserve in North Invercargill could end up becoming a much appreciated bike park if Megan Dawson has her way.
60% of the school kids actually go to North Invercargill schools, and we don't have anything around the area that they can come and just ride their bikes and have fun. There's no scooter park or bike track, so this would mean heaps for the community.
She came up with a proposal to spruce up and re-gravel the track as part of her studies at SIT, and says it won't cost much to achieve.
Depending on the draining, there's not a huge cost in gravel, the dirt that could come in and the labour. It's not a huge cost probably under 30,000.
She says the Invercargill City Council and Southland Mountain Bike Club are both in favour of the project, and all she needs to do is raise the funds to restore the area to how she remembers it from her childhood.
Back in the 80s, going a few years back, we used to come here as kids, and the ramps had gravel and coming around and doing jumps, and it was a full BMX track. But over the years it's grown grass and it's been left to do its thing.
Dawson has started an online petition calling for the local council to help with funding the project. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Emergency services were mobilised to Dunedin Airport yesterday after a plane reported problems with its landing gear. About 5:45 in the evening, the plane's pilot radioed to report difficulties, and he was asked to circle the airport. Mainland Air says the plane was flying from Invercargill to Dunedin. The plane, which was understood to have 7 passengers on board, landed safely just before 6 p.m. A group of volunteers are helping visually impaired people get out and enjoy walks in the countryside without worrying about colliding with any obstacles. Going out once a month, they've explored southern beaches and even a Central Otago cycle trail.
Going for a walk along the beach is something most Kiwis enjoy doing. But if you're visually impaired, such as most of these walkers, then having a volunteer guide, such as Les Freeman, is essential.
Mainly it's got to be their safety. You can't walk them into any hazards or anything stupid like that. You've got to be aware of what the surfaces are like, whether there's potholes, whether there's puddles. Along the beach there was driftwood, there was kelp that we had to weave our way through, things like that.
The visually impaired walkers say they enjoy being able to stroll along uneven terrain which they would not be able to navigate by themselves. And the guides also help by describing the location as well.
It's quite nice if someone can explain scenery or whatever's happening. This is a short walk today because of the weather, but normally we do quite a few Ks. It's pretty good, yeah.
For Les Freeman, this was his first day out helping on a guided walk.
I've only been a volunteer for the blind for possibly 18 months as a driver, and I see this as an opportunity for me to get out and do a bit of walking too.
The group go out walking every third Wednesday of the month and have even tackled the Clutha Gold bike trail. In Belclutha, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. The number of pets at Christchurch's SPCA waiting for new homes is on the rise, and a new hub for teaching technology subjects has been opened in Kaiapoi.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Introducing Tussock Country, New Zealand's hot new country music festival. 9 days, 30 plus events and unlimited southern hospitality. Plan your visit and buy tickets today.
TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Hi, Lindsay here from Campbell's Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome back. A consultant's report that suggests Dunedin has ample supply of cheap and all-day parking has been backed by city councillors. M.R. Cagney Consultancy says the city has plentiful and free all-day parking within walking distance of the city centre. The consultant says there is a deep-rooted public expectation that the council should be providing plentiful and affordable parking. It says the Dunedin City Council had a relatively large portfolio of off-street parking assets, and the report criticises the council for providing parking at below market rates. The council has decided to develop a work plan based on the consultant's recommendations. A new hub for teaching technology subjects has been opened at Kaiapoi Borough School. The new facility caters to 10 schools in the area and replaces an earlier one which was damaged in the Canterbury earthquakes.
Visitors make their way to Kaiapoi Borough School's new technology centre, which was opened by Dr. Megan Woods, who is the Minister for Research, Science and Innovation. The new centre is to be used by pupils from 10 different schools in the Kaiapoi area and replaces a previous technology centre which was damaged by the Canterbury earthquakes 10 years ago. School Principal Murray Overton says Kaiapoi has a long history of creativity and innovation dating back to Maori settlement. A technical association was formed over 100 years ago to organise the teaching of technical subjects. The new state-of-the-art block will encourage students to be creative, innovative and collaborate with their classmates. Rather than the traditional teaching of subjects such as woodwork, sewing and cooking, teaching here will be based around subjects on electronics, robotics, computer coding, 3D design, as well as subjects using acrylics, fabric and food. Over 600 pupils are already using the facility every week. In Kaiapoi, the South Today.
The number of pets at Christchurch's SPCA centre that are waiting for new homes is up about 50% from this time last year. The SPCA now has a policy of keeping animals until they are rehomed, with some having to wait up to a year before being adopted.
Currently at the centre we have 281 animals. So in our busy periods it's kind of standard, but for this time of the year it's definitely still high. Normally we start winding down for winter about now, but we are still crazy busy, unfortunately. We don't know whether it's, especially because we've got a high number of cats, whether it's a follow on from the kind of milder weather, so we think kitten season might be eking out a little bit longer, so we're getting more litters of kittens. But yeah, or maybe potentially even a flow on from COVID. A lot of cat D6s weren't being done over COVID because it wasn't an essential service, and so maybe there's more cats having kittens. We've had a bit of a drought around lately, the last couple of years, so grass is not growing and hay is becoming, like hen's teeth, very hard to find. It's becoming very expensive, so unfortunately people are not being able to pay these prices, and it's just not being able to source it because there isn't enough out there. And so yeah, unfortunately we're getting a lot of horses that are getting a bit on the light side, so yeah, they're coming into us. We have a lovely boy, Charlie. He's been here for about 115 days, I believe. So he's one of our longest residents at the moment. Charlie was found in Rolliston. He was wandering around as a stray, turned up at an early learning centre, and they were like, oh, there's a rooster. And so yeah, they rang us and we collected him and brought him in. He was a little bit on the light side, a little bit skinny, had a few issues with his legs, a little bit of scaly mite, but he's perfectly healthy now, and a lovely, lovely rooster. Roosters are notoriously hard to rehome. There's a lot of places like in like Central City and Selwyn where you can't actually have roosters in residential areas, so it is obviously very niche trying to find a nice, nice lifestyle block or farm where he could live, but he'd be well worth it. They literally stay here until they are adopted. There's a bit of a fallacy out there that we just euthanize things if they've been here too long. That is entirely untrue. We will hold animals until they find a home. We've had some residents stay over a year, but they will continue to stay here until, or won't stay at centres until they've found a home. We have an amazing foster network of foster parents who will take on animals for us, so they go out and live out in a home, and especially for the likes of horses and whatnot. So yeah, that's great, and definitely increases our capacity a lot.
After the break on the South Today, we hear about the upcoming New Zealand Mountain Film and Book Festival, and we check out the weather.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Hi, Lindsay here from Campbell's Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, warm ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Welcome back. The movies and authors chosen for this year's New Zealand Mountain Film and Book Festival have been announced. More than $5,000 in prizes has been awarded, with New Zealand filmmakers picking up the majority of awards. Among the winners is former Dunedin man Richard Sidey, whose film, produced with Wanaka photographer Christopher Thompson, is called In the Theatre of the GOGS. The film tells the story of the adventure behind making art on Stewart Island near two peaks called Gog and Magog. A total of 68 films have been selected to screen in venues in Queenstown and Wanaka, with the festival kicking off at the end of this month. Now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. A southern dairy farmer who rose to fame when he did a charity run in gumboots last year has another goal. An Invercargill cycling enthusiast hopes to revive an old track for a new generation of cyclists. And a group of southerners are helping people with visual impairments to get out and about to experience nature. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden.
Good evening, Sophie.
Good evening. How are you?
Very good. Good. It's a busy day out there in the newsroom. There's stories happening left, right, and centre, which is always a good problem to have. So, a lot of big meetings today. So, SDHB are meeting today, and a bit of an issue coming out today about unsterilised instruments, and revealed that over sort of a 10 or 11 month period, there were 5 operations at Dunedin Hospital that had begun by the time the medical staff realised the instruments weren't completely sterilised. So we're looking at that issue and what they're saying the problem is with their sterilisation occasionally at the hospital. So that'll be interesting. And of course, Dunedin City Council long-term plan meetings continue. No, as far as I can tell, no sort of big ticket items today, but a couple of councillors getting a bit of a ticking off from another councillor today for, quote, acting like children. So it's always exciting to hear that that's happening. More on the Canterbury floods. We've talking to the Ministry of Transport around, I guess, how the floods have highlighted the need for a second bridge over the Ashburton. Really, with the South Island can be cut off just with one bridge being at risk. So that'll be interesting. Brass Monkey Rally. It's the very last Brass Monkey this weekend. The great motorcycle rally up there in the Maniatortor. So we're talking to organisers and a participant about this sort of feeling, the bittersweet feeling of they're looking forward to it, but it's the last one of its type. I don't think it's forecast to be too cold, perhaps rain, but we've got a cracking photo from one in days gone by. It looks like something out of Siberia, quite extraordinary. So, and in sport, well, one good sports story and one bad sports story. The bad one is we've got a park in Dunedin, Bathgate Park, has been torn up by hoons in their vehicle. The kids might not be able to play a bit of footy this weekend. There's big donuts everywhere.
Right.
But the exciting news and interesting news is the Otago cricket team has appointed its new coach. The Volts have got a new coach, and he's Dion Ibrahim, who's a former Zimbabwe international cricketer, but has been in New Zealand for some time with other provinces. So a bit of excitement, a fresh start for Otago, some new faces. So all that and heaps and heaps of other stuff. Good paper tomorrow.
Alrighty, thank you, Hayden. And now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, looking up Dunedin's Baldwin Straits. Looking at the situation, fine through Friday, but some cloud likely and rain likely for the weekend. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, scattered showers and 14 degrees in Greymouth and partial cloud and 14 as well in Westport. To the northeast, sunshine here with 16 degrees in Nelson and 15 in Blenheim. In Canterbury, sunshine for the region with 13 degrees in Kaikoura, Christchurch and Ashburton. To the southern towns, light westerlies, fine conditions and 13 degrees for the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. To the Central Lakes area, light winds and fine conditions here as well with 13 degrees in Wanaka, Alexandra and Te Anau and 12 degrees in Queenstown. To the northern towns, light winds, fine conditions and 14 degrees for Timaru, Oamaru, Twizel and Amarama. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with a low of 0. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with light northeasterly winds developing. Cool with frosts again tomorrow night, a high of 13 and a low of -1. Fine with long sunny periods on Friday, moderate cool northeasterlies, a high of 12 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, fine and frosty tonight with a low of 0. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with light westerly winds, a high of 14 and a low of 5. Cloud increasing on Friday with mild and northerlies developing. Some rain Friday night, a high of 14 and a low of 9. That's all for our news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.